Howdy folks, Tetsu here, down in lower tiers where the power's low, but the battles are fierce. And today I'll be continuing my self-proclaimed quest to archive all the battles during the first 7U tournament, which thereby I hope to bring light to the tier and possibly help it grow. So join me as we head down to the LB and observe those who've gained an elimination in the first 2 rounds. Our combatants this time will be FlamingRok versus Monai, with FlamingRok having lost InfernoDragon in round 2 and Monai having missed their first match. With an elimination each, they now battle it out to see who gets the boot. Either way, their skill shall be witnessed here today by both myself and you, the viewer. If you happen to enjoy the video, I humbly request you click that like button. Also subscribe and click that bell if you want to be notified for later uploads. Working together, we can bring more attention to this fascinating metagame. With all that said, let's begin. Alright. Match 1 of round 2, the LB, game 1. Let's play lead metagame. FlamingRok singing out Voltorb and Monai coming in with the Charmeleon. A Thunder Wave comes down. Charmeleon gets hit and Fire Blast in retaliation and it crits! Voltorb is taken out from FlamingRok. Shelter gets moved in. Clamp on the incoming Voltorb. Second and continuing the attack with Monai sending out their own Shelter with Ivysaur coming in, body slamming the Charmeleon upon entry. Back out to Shelter for FlamingRok. Charmeleon is paralyzed, and then Shelter gets switched in to tank a Surf. Clamp misses for FlamingRok, but Monai gets it. And Ivysaur coming in for FlamingRok as Clamp continues. So it looks like FlamingRok is going to do their best to try to PP stall for a little while or force a miss. Ivysaur back out, but Charmeleon gets swint to by Monai, predicting Ivysaur. Fire Spin gets sent out and misses with Surf, dealing a ton of damage. Seismic Toss going in return. Voltorb gets switched in, being brought to 41% health by Surf. And Ivysaur switched in to take a Thunder Wave, which is not necessarily a big deal, but Charmeleon gets switched in by Monai. So FlamingRok sends in their Shelter. It gets hit with Fire Spin. And this is a bit risky, admittedly. Voltorb switched in for a PT switch by Monai. And Ivysaur gets switched in, baited by Monai and sent their Charmeleon. But Paralysis winds up overtaking Charmeleon again. And finally, Monai lets it rest. Meowth coming in to finish off Shelter with a T-Bolt. Very well done. And Ivysaur switched in. Even paralyzed, it's a pretty decent check. Sleep Powder being hit on Monai's Voltorb. Razor Leaf hit on Shelter. Oh dear. Shelter does go down. Charmeleon switched in to a dancing Beedrill. And it burns Double Edge. Reduces the attack damage. And Beedrill goes down. Rhyhorn switched in, and Ivysaur is then switching to tank an Earthquake. Will it paralyze? No, it does not, so Rhyhorn goes down. A lot of damage, though. Monai sends in their Meowth to finish off Ivysaur, but FlamingRok still has 3 Pokemon left, and Voltorb is asleep on Monai's side. So I don't really see how they can win this. Charmeleon does go down, but Meowth's at 38%. FlamingRok would have to miss, but they do not. So Monai's Meowth goes down. Voltorb is the last of the Mons, and it gets taken out. Game 1 goes to FlamingRok. On to Game 2. Let's play lead metagame. Voltorb coming from FlamingRok, and Tentacool from Monai. Shelter being switched in. Rhyhorn goes in, but quick switch to Tentacool. And Shelter begins its clamping as Shelter from Monai's side gets switched in. And now it's a back and forth between Tentacool and Shelter. But Tentacool gets PT switch. How'd it do? Ivysaur actually manages to put Tentacool to sleep. Razor Leaf comes down on a critical hit. Beedrill being sent in by Monai. Tanks Razor Leaf fairly easily. FlamingRok going to switch into their Charmeleon. Double Edge hits. Are we going to see a Fire Blast? A quick switch to Charmeleon. We do see a Fire Blast, and Charmeleon takes it fairly well. Fire Spin going in, dealing only a little bit of damage. Shelter switch for FlamingRok. Slightly more damage with the critical on it. 7 to 8%. Monai switches to their sleeping Tentacool. As FlamingRok sends in their Charmeleon. Going into Rhyhorn now, which tanks a slash from Charmeleon. Are we going to see an Earthquake? Yes, we do. Bringing Shelter down to 45% health. Clamp coming out into the Tentacool. That is still asleep. Surprised FlamingRok's not switching into something else, because this potentially... Ooh, there's a crit for Clamp. There's a potential for Tentacool to actually wake up at this point. A little bit more damage. It does manage to wake up. Surf hits, but it does not take it out. Wrap going in for Shelter. Onto Shelter. And FlamingRok switches to their Charmeleon. If Tentacool does miss, Charmeleon can actually outspeed and take out Tentacool. But Rhyhorn gets switched in for Monai. And then Shelter gets sent in by FlamingRok with Meowth coming in. Slash hits, but it does not take it out. And Shelter goes boom! Taking out Monai's Meowth. Both players now have their Charmeleons out. Slash coming from FlamingRok after a missed Fire Spin from Monai. Another Slash. No counter and no retaliatory Slash. It's just a Fire Spin. Voltorb coming in. Winds up being missed by Fire Spin. Rhyhorn switched in and gets flashed. Oh, that's unpleasant. An Earthquake misses Meowth upon its entry. Bubble Beam hits Shelter on its switch in. An explosion goes off for Monai Shelter, taking out Charmeleon. FlamingRok sends in their Meowth. Beedrill comes in for Monai. Double Edge goes in, but it's not enough. Beedrill will be taken out. Oh! Monai forfeits, allowing FlamingRok to continue on in the LB. Not a bad couple of games. So, what did we learn? I've harped on Shelter a bit before, and while I'm still not sold on it, I have to admit it did some good work in the second game, taking out Meowth after Monai took a gamble on a 7.7% chance to OHKO when they had T-Bolt on their moveset. Strange decision. Although, FlamingRok did something similar when they tried to take out a Tent on 15% health when Surf only does a max of 13.7%. Know your ranges is the lesson here. That actually brings up another thought. Interesting thing about this tournament format is all games are best 2 out of 3. This either pushes players to make a few teams or simply use one. Both styles have their pros and cons. For the latter, multiple teams means possibly surprising your opponent with something, and it makes each game harder to discern. Likewise, it makes the user have to work piloting multiple teams. More data to remember, basically. Where having one team is easier to pilot, but on the down, it's easier to read and possibly counter. The reason I bring this up is due to information gathering. Unless you scout out your opponents ahead of time, most likely the only information you will collect is when you're in the match. This means looking at how your opponent plays, what mons they use, and what strategies they employ. Seeing FlamingRok switch in Shelter to counter Rhyhorn is one such example. In the first game, no Ivysaur was used by Monai, so an educated guess allowed FlamingRok to get the upper hand. With the match over, Monai is officially kicked out of the first 7U tournament, while FlamingRok is able to continue on in the LB. How long will they last? Only time will tell. And if you happen to have found the video interesting, why not join in on the fun? I've got all the necessary links down in the description, from the Discord to the resource hub, so hope to see you there. And until next time, everybody, take care. Bye!